Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session on fundamentals of building AI solutions. And we had Jade Apple with us, who is the MCE, and she will be walking us through on the topics or the modules in Azure AI 102. And without any delay, let's get into it. Over to you.
Hi, Shurag. I hope you can hear and see me clearly.
Yes,
Um,
we can.
all right, that's great. All right, and hello everyone to those who are here. And let me just go to my PowerPoint and so that I could share it to you guys. So I believe it's quite early in your area. It's 10:30 here in the Philippines, but nevertheless, I am happy that we are here together, and then we can also learn together. Um, in terms of implementing Microsoft Azure AI solution. Well, yes, just a little bit of introduction. Hello, guys. So I am Jade April. I'm an educator here in the Philippines. I'm a teacher, actually. I don't work in the tech field for now, but who knows? All of us here, I believe some of us have worked in the tech field already or is working as of the moment. But I am still pursuing, who knows, a career shift in tech. Currently, I am with the Code Without Barriers under as a mentee with their mentorship program, and we just did a training also in AI 102, and that's the reason why we have it here. I did not yet have an exam. I believe I did have an exam in DP 900, but I have to be honest with everyone. I failed in some parts of the exam, and maybe because of the failure that in DP 900, and yeah, I was able to move forward and able to understand more the topic. And right now for AI 102, I think I'll be having it somewhere in April. And of course, for those who are here, for the ladies here and the call, we have Women's Code Without Barriers. We have a hackathon. Uh, for now, it's open all for women. And maybe I'm just going to give you the link later. And then for those ladies out there who want to join the hackathon, then maybe we could see each other virtually in the mentorship or in the orientation soon that they will be having. So I think it's open for everyone under the Asia Pacific. So let's move forward. So again, we'll be learning together. Would I want to have a laboratory, like a hands-on thing, but I believe that the 1 hour might not be able to cover that. And we'll just go through some theories, and then I'm just going to walk you through of what I learned while in the training um, in AI 102. So let's hold hands together and learn. So moving forward, so all of my slides came from Microsoft Learn under the educators program. So you could go over there and download it yourself, and or I could share you this slides later after our talk. So here, hopefully that we are going to learn how to develop AI solutions in Azure. We'll be able to understand more if we will have our hands-on activity. But as I said, that the 1 hour might not be able to um, be enough for all of us to do that. But this is the overview if you want to pursue, um, if you want to become an Azure Engineer Associate, which is covered in AI 102 exam. So we'll be able to learn or develop solutions in Azure. So we'll be building a software development skills. So C Sharp or Python skills is needed, REST and JSON, because there are those, we're going to download some files either in JSON file. Then we'll be able to create a applications with Azure services. And specifically, these are Azure Cognitive Services, Azure Bot Service, the Azure Cognitive Service, and the Azure Applied Service, which is all covered in this course. These are 12 modules. I hope that we could cover them, though theory based. So moving forward, the course of the agenda, even if you're going to join the Microsoft Virtual Academy, uh, virtual trading, these are the courses or the agendas that's going to be followed or covered. So, of course, all of us should be able to understand what is AI in terms of Azure and how we're going to develop AI apps with cognitive service. We will be getting started with natural language processing. It's very important that we understand what is NLP and how it does and how it affects, it impacts students, professionals, and even those differently abled people. Building speech enabled applications, creating language understanding, building a question answering solution like a Q&A bot, a conversational AI and the Azure bot service. We would understand what is computer vision and also develop custom vision solutions. We also have detecting, analyzing, and recognizing faces, reading text and images and documents, and creating a knowledge mining solution. So this is the course agenda for the whole module 12, right? So let's move forward. This is the lab environment that if you have your Azure Pass and if you have also your Visual Studio Code, and this is where you're going to deploy your codes and where you're going to practice your code so that we'll be able to understand how we're going to form or how we're going to apply cognitive services and other Azure services before we publish them as a web service perhaps or as an app. So later, I will show you how the Azure portal looks like and the Visual Studio Code looks like. And yeah, so this course or this session will help us understand and prepare us to become a Microsoft certified Azure AI engineer associate. And hopefully, all of us will be able to uh, have this badge right over here. It's quite tempting, it's quite inspiring at the same time. So in Microsoft Learn, I consume a lot of information Microsoft Learn. They have instructor-led course. They also have online modules which are self-paced, and also they have updated papers or resources to help us prepare to become an AI Azure Engineer Associate or other things that you want to move forward with under Azure. All right, so I just want to move forward. Hold on, just a bit. Uh, I'm looking for my scalable account. Oh, here it is. So we have a little bit of dead air. So I just launched my scalable account. Then later we'll be able to see how it would look like if you have your Visual Studio Code. Actually, this is nice because we will be able to code things and would learn from our mistakes along the way. And this is actually in the scalable, in the Visual Studio Code, you have some steps to follow and it's quite challenging for me at the same time because sometimes you need the endpoint key. Right now, my Azure Pass has expired, so I can't fully move through the labs. But let's go through module one for a while. All right, so this is module one. So let's have a simple introduction about Azure, AI and Azure. I'm just going to turn off my uh, cam if it says all right with you so that I'm not going to eat other people's bandwidth. So let's have introduction to AI and AI on Azure. So what is AI? So artificial intelligence, we are all familiar with that. We are using that every day from our phones, paying bills to the apps that we use. So that is AI. And AI has been now like it it's a seed that grew directly, it boomed everywhere, right? So AI, it's a software that exhibits human-like capabilities. Of course, it's us humans who are doing the training. So it can have visual perception. It can do text analysis. it can do speech, and of course, it can do decision making. But all of this are done by us human beings. We train the model. That's why AI can do this stuff. Now, under data science and machine learning and AI, let's try to understand their difference. So let's start with data science. So in data science, it's usually the application of mathematics and statistical data and techniques to analyze values and data. So here in my school, here as a teacher, we use the statistics or the grades of the students so that we will be able to understand the rise and fall of their performance. So we apply data science through their performance tests and through their uh, assessments. So we have what we call the data mining. So we take the population of the school and the kids and the grades, and we try to understand how their grades and the population affects them. So it's just like that. So in machine learning, we now get data and the algorithms and we train them to form a predictive model. So we try to understand the relationship of this data from each other and we try to predict their outcome. In artificial intelligence, we are making intelligence software apps and agents, but all of this are done by us human beings. So these are their difference. Now, if we want to become AI, if we want to become software engineers, and these are the things that the skills that are needed. So we need to be able to understand coding. Sorry. So C Sharp, Python, or Node are the languages that are required. We consume a lot of APIs, and of course, we know DevOps. Concept understanding of AI. So sorry. So if you want to become a software engineer, at least we'll be able to train a model and inference the model. We'll be able to understand the probability and the confidence scores. And most importantly, we'll be able to apply responsible AI and ethics. So let me go for a while. So these are the AI, responsible AI. Oh, check. Let me just hold on for a while. All right. So these are the considerations for responsible AI. So we have fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. So for fairness, so I think all of us would understand that uh, when we say that AI should be fair, it should be available and it should be open to all genders, no matter what your preference is. And for example, in school we have the facial recognition. We don't do the body clock already. So when we go to school, it's either we do a biometric, so we put the finger there on the machine, or it analyzes our face. So we have the face bio. So when it comes to fairness, for example, it should be able to read the faces of all women, men, and even those who have different preferences. So that's it. Reliability and safety. So our apps and anything that we build should be reliable and safe. It should not put us, it should be more help than harm. Privacy and security. So there were like apps in the long time before that when you turn on the app, it directly gets your location, or sometimes it turns on your camera. But right now, it should not be that way because we have to respect the privacy and security of our end users. Inclusiveness, which is my most favorite of all, as I am a teacher. So when I say inclusive, it means that we are en- embracing all those challenged learners, people with disabilities, who are challenged readers, students who are challenged readers, people with vision impairment or challenged when it comes to speech. So that means inclusivity. Transparency. So if there are like concerns with the app, let's say it has been deployed and there is something wrong with the app or some issues in the app. So I think someone or the company, whoever it is, should be able to raise your hand and say, all right, this is our fault, and maybe we could fix it. And accountability, as I said, so the end users might have found issues in the app, and the developers will be able to be accountable for whatever concerns that there is. So we should be always remember considerations for responsible AI, and these are the six very important rules that we must follow. Moving forward, let's talk about Azure machine learning. So, what is machine learning? So, it's a cloud platform wherein we're going to gather data and then we're going to input that data, maybe um, whatever portal, Azure portal, whatever platform that you get. Let's say in the Azure portal, we are going to train the data and then we're going to check the relationship of this data based on how we train them. And at the end point is we evaluate the patterns or the product results. So that is machine learning. We also have Azure Cognitive Service. Later, all of this will be discussed more. So in Azure Cognitive Service, these are pre-packaged AI services, which and you can integrate into solutions. So for example, like me, I'm an educator. I did not graduate in any IT classes. I did not take any crash courses, maybe. I just went through a training for Azure AI fundamentals and tried to understand what is machine learning and understanding how to code. I do no code or low code. So that's not a problem because cognitive services, we have the prepackaged AR services that we can integrate or deploy in the portal. But under Azure Cognitive Service, we have language or language detection. So under language, these are text analysis. You do question and answering. You could do language understanding and translation. So all of these are under the capabilities of languages. Now for speech, what is what are the services under speech? So it's speech recognition, speech synthesis, speech translation, and speaker recognition. So if we have a subtitle right now, or if I turn on the subtitle while I am presenting, so that will be under speech. So for vision, under the vision service, we have image analysis, we have video analysis, the image classification, the object detection, facial analysis, and my favorite of all because I'm using OneNote, optical character recognition. So OCR, I use this one in OneNote, but it was not anymore. It did not move forward with the app in OneNote. There was no update on that in Windows 11. So OCR, I use that in OneNote. So what I do is I take a picture of a certain file and it only takes the text. Now we have under decision service, we have anomaly detection, content moderation, and content personalization. So these are language, speech, vision, and decision. These are the services under cognitive services, right? Or these are the capabilities under cognitive services. So let's move forward. Now we also have Azure Bot Service. I believe most of us are familiar with this. So in Azure Bot Service, for example, if I may mention that if you go to a certain site, sorry, there are those who would answer your queries directly. So these are the Azure Bot Service. They could answer your chat messages if ever that no human intervention is um, available. And also for our emails. So if you're not available to answer the email, then you could also have the automatic reply. And if you do a query, for example, you're going to order a pizza, or if ever that you're going to book a flight, then we also have the Azure Bot service to do the thing for you. So it's quite a modern world. Now, under Azure Cognitive Service, so it is an AI image indexing for search and knowledge mining. For example, I believe we have experienced this that when you do Bing search or Google search, if I haven't mentioned that, so the software or the browser tries to understand what are your usual searches, right? So when you type in the word school and you keep on searching like schools, it's going to have suggestions of your research. So that's an example of AI image indexing for search and knowledge mining. So it tries to understand how you do your searches. It tries to understand how you usually do um, your searches in your mobile phone or even in a certain browser. So that's an example of Azure Cognitive Search. All right. So we have some question and answer portion here. I'm not sure if you are available to do the chat. I believe you are. All right. So let's have the following. So which of the capabilities does AI typically exhibit? So if you think that it has one or more answers, then you can just type in the letter. Is it A, visual perception? Oh, it has a correct answer already there. Emotional analysis, screen analysis, and text. I didn't see that. So it says here, correct answer. Okay. So it has a correct answer over here. So I think we're not going to guess already. Oh, poor me. So AI capabilities has the following. It exhibits visual perception, decision making, and text or speech analysis. Let's go to number 2. Let me see. There's no answer. So data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence relate to each other in what way? Is it A, machine learning is built on artificial intelligence, and it is a subset of data science? Or letter B, data science is built on machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence? Or letter C, artificial intelligence is built on machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of data science? Or letter D, data science is built on artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence is a subset of machine learning. So when we have an exam in AI, like for example, in the previous experience that I had, so most of the answers sounds like correct. It's quite tricky. And so let's check. And I believe most of us got it correctly. So it's C. Artificial intelligence, yes, is built on machine learning, and it is a subset of data science. So let's have question number 3. So if you want to become an AI engineer, you must become an expert in data science and machine learning. So is it A, it's false, because we have the prepackaged software that encapsulate all those AI capabilities, and we could be able to integrate them in our solutions? Or is it B, still false, because we are expert in machine learning? So I think you must be an expert on that, and you should be able to implement AI solutions. C, true, you should be able to be an expert in data science. To create integrated AI solution, you must start from raw data, create machine learning models, and design AI features to become an AI engineer. So it's quite difficult for me. For example, I'm a teacher and I want to move forward in tech, but I am not an expert. Or letter D, so true. While prepackaged software services that encapsulate AI capabilities exist, which is correct, we cannot integrate them into AI solutions unless you are an expert or you have a knowledge in data science and machine learning. All right, so we have A, we have C, and let's reveal the answer. So A, it is false. So we don't need to be a expert in data science and machine learning, because as it was mentioned a while ago, the software services they are pre-packaged services that you could just run and integrate in your AI solutions. So we're all safe for those who. That's why there are those people who do a career shift because of this. We don't need to become an expert in data science and machine learning, but we have to train and understand how it works. So that's it for module one. Our session is just a little bit light, all right? Okay, so let's go to module two. So let's try to understand cognitive services and what it does. So let's start with cognitive services and the use of cognitive services for enterprise applications. So we have cognitive services. So what is cognitive services? It's the cloud-based artificial intelligence that developers build cognitive intelligence into applications without having direct AI or data science skills or knowledge. All right. So we have the categories under the cognitive services. It was mentioned a while ago. So the cognitive services is categorized into five main areas. We have vision, speech, language, decision, and Azure Open AI Service. Now, for us to be able to understand this, we're going to Microsoft Learn. Let me see. Okay, hold on for a while. Let me just guide you through there. All right. I hope you could see my screen. So, what are Azure Cognitive Services? So, these are it. So, the categories have been mentioned. So, these are the vision APIs. So, for computer vision, let me see if I could draw it here. I cannot do my drawing. All right, it's here. So, let's have the service name, computer vision, and let's understand its service description. So this computer vision provides you with access to advanced cognitive algorithms for processing images and returning the information. We could do this one in the Visual Studio Code, wherein we'll be able to identify the pictures that are there in the we could identify the figures that are in the picture. And we have custom vision. The custom vision service, it lets you build and deploy and improve your own image classifiers. So it's an AI service that applies labels to images based on their visual characteristics. So for example, we do a tagging. So we are all going to tag, for example, you're going to be given a picture, and then we're going to tag all that is in color yellow, or we're going to tag all the bananas that we see in the picture, or we're going to tag all the cars that we see in the picture. So we are going to differentiate the cars, like the cars, and from from the buses. So we call that tagging. We also have face. The face service provides access to advanced face algorithms. So it enables face attribute detection and recognition. So like our face bio in school, so while you're in the range of the machine or you're in the range of the biometric, so it understands and tries to recognize who you are. And then when it recognizes your face, and that's it, that's your attendance for the day. So the machine would be able to recognize that you came in at 8 a.m. in the morning. And then when you go out of the building, it would recognize that it's you and you went out of the building at 5 p.m. So that's an example of face service. But in school, we don't use the Azure portal. All right. So we have the language API. So under the language service, it uses Azure Language Service or the NLP, which is one of my favorite topics. So it tries to understand and analyze text. We also have translator. It provides machine-based text translation in real time. Language service, for example, it understands and analyzes text. In Microsoft Word, we have now the editor. If you use Microsoft 365, if I may mention, is it all right to mention a company, for example, Grammarly, and other platforms that it tries to understand the emotions. It understands, it analyzes your text. For example, is it formal? Is it semi-formal? Is it is it a sad letter? So that's how it understands and analyzes your text. It also checks your grammar. Translator, it provides machine-based text translation in real time. So for example, in Microsoft Word, we also have the word translator. It translates your whole document in OneNote. If you're using OneNote in Microsoft, it also does that. And of course, in Microsoft PowerPoint, we also have that translator. Then we have Lewis. Who is Lewis? It's language understanding. It's a cloud-based conversational AI service that applies custom machine learning intelligence to users. So it's a conversational or natural language text to predict overall meaning and pull out relevant information. Uh, for example, just like I said, that it would give you an understanding of the text or give you an understanding of what language is being used. For example, it's moody, it's semi-formal, it's formal. So usually it does that on the language. Now Q&A maker. So we have actually a Q&A maker here in Microsoft, the uh, Power Virtual, the PVA, but it does not accept um, my work email, so I cannot use it as an example. But Q&A Maker, it allows you to build a question and answer service from your semi-structured content. Let me just check. Later, I will show you. I will look for it. So we have PVA actually in Microsoft, the Power Platform, Power Virtual Agent. It does that. So we have language APIs, we have decision APIs. So it is anomaly detector. I am not sure if you have seen the movie, if I may share, if it's okay to mention movies here. So we have the New Mutants. It's under Marvel. So it has a computer and it detects anomaly detections in the CCTV footage. So they do tagging, they tag who you are, and then they check your heart. And while you are being tagged in the CCTV, and your heartbeat is being monitored, and at the same time if there are the changes in your uh body temperature, it also detects. And if ever that your uh temperature goes high, so it uh it shows an anomaly detection. So content moderator provides monitoring for possible offensive, undesirable, and risky content. I believe there are virtual agents who also do content moderator. What they do is they try to erase videos or pictures that are not good for the audiences or for the consumers. Personalizer, I have not experienced this. Allows you to choose the best experience to show your users learning for the real-time behavior. We also have Azure Open AI. It's a powerful language models, including GPT-3. So we have this embed model series for content generation. So basically, so these are the cognitive services and the capabilities of Azure Cognitive Service. Since we are now here in this site, I'm going to click this tab over here. Um, I believe, have you experienced this? Have you tried? So these are the module labs that I'm trying to finish. So while learning AI 102, so these labs are very helpful so that we'll be able to understand more about how to do cognitive services and other speeches. I'm not yet done with my labs yet, right? But I love doing my labs. So this is under scalable, and it was given to me because we are under a training. if we launch it, also I will launch one. I will launch one and then I will show you later how it looks like. Since we're here, okay, that's it. So this is the environment when you have scalable. You could either purchase this one if you want to have one personal, but if you're under training, let's say maybe because this was given to us by Code Without Barriers. So you're a student and you'll be given a password. So just click it here and click it there at the side, and you go click there, and that's it. As I said, I'm a teacher. I I majored in consumer electronics, so it's mostly being a technician. But when I was exposed to programs under Microsoft, I got to be curious what is Azure. So I tried to learn, but I think self-paced learning is okay, but without training, just like what we're doing right now, I would be really left behind. So this is a Visual Studio Code. If we click that, this is where we're going to deploy, or we're going to run all these codes here. But we have a but here that we'll not be able to pursue and type in all our codes in our Visual Studio Code if we don't have our Azure Pass. Or if you don't have your Azure Pass, you could avail the free Azure. But the challenge there is, if I will click there, we have what we call the pricing. We have a pricing like standard tier. We could not click that in the actual Azure Pass, but I will show you. So we have logged in. I will check that. And then I'm going to click this edge over here. I'm going to paste. And then I'm going to click Azure Portal and we'll see if I could log in. Well, my Azure Pass has expired already. But the thing is, if you do the Azure free trial, it takes time for you to get your key or endpoint, because I have to go back every now and then because the pricing, for example, there is a pricing that it would ask you for the pricing and you cannot do the pricing because the pricing standard here does not show up. Oh, let's see if I remember my password. Oh, this is embarrassing. Just hold on for a while. I'll remember that later. Hold on. Anyway, because my password is not being recognized. Hold on. So you need to go to Azure Portal and you need to make all the subscriptions here. If you don't have the Azure Pass, the pricing like the standard tier would not come out. So it took me a lot of time. And for example, here, it took me a lot of time to click all of the stuff. So in this part, if we could do that, we will be able to analyze text. And this codes here, it's going to should be run in Visual Studio Code. So while we are doing our module, I'm just going back here. I will try to fix the password because it was all right a while ago. All right, so we're back. I'm going to look. Sorry. I hope you could see my screen. Just prompt me if you can't see anything. All right, so I got a thumbs up. So let's move forward with provisioning cognitive service. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So if you're going to create your resource in Azure subscription, you're going to create a service, so you're going to put your name there. And this part here in the subscription, if you could see, so we are looking at the figure at the right side of the screen. So we have the word create, and you're going to create a name for your resource. And then here, the subscription, it should be like you should have the Azure Pass sponsorship. But if you're just using your Azure free portal, then it's not nothing's gonna show up here in subscription. Location, for example, if you're going to make your resource, you have to make a resource, or for example, Philippines, we don't have our own region in the Azure portal, so we have to um, check which is closer to us. So usually when we do the lab, we choose East US. And this is what I was telling you about the pricing tier. If you have your Azure Free Pass, as I tried, the pricing tier, which is standard SO, does not come out. So if I do my lab in the Visual Studio Code and I use my Azure Free Pass, if I use my Azure free trial, I cannot move forward. I cannot create my resource because I have to leave this blank. But I don't know if some of you have tried and you were able to move forward to create your resource. But as of the moment, I keep on clicking, and sometimes the standard SO comes out because the pricing tier, usually when you click the drop down button, there is what we call the standard SO. So you have to click that. But if you are in your Azure free trial, the word standard SO does not come out. So you cannot click review and create your resource. So we have the resource group. For resource group, if you're using your Azure free trial, you could just make your own resource group. All right. Why are we talking about this? Because you would be able to understand more cognitive services and other services in Azure if you will be able to uh, do the uh, do your labs in Visual Studio Code. So that's what I would want to have a little bit of example, but my Azure Free Pass has expired already. So let's go back. We create a resource in Azure subscription. Then we have the single service resource or the multi-service resource. And multi-service, you could have access to the multiple Azure Cloud services with a single key and endpoint. So the single key and the endpoint is when you were able to use or when you were able to successfully create your resource group, then this single key and endpoint will come out after in the next screen. Let's see, here, all right? So this key one and key two, this you could either use any of the keys if you want to use this in Visual Studio Code. And the endpoint is also important. So you have to, in every resource that you make, just correct me if I'm wrong, all right? For those who have tried this, for every resource that we make, for example, cognitive service, Azure Bot Service, you will be able to make different kinds of keys and endpoint. All right. Now, for single service, for example, in language service, you will have an access to only single or one service with a unique key and endpoint for each created service. So, when I first started with the lab, I was quite uh, confused because I thought that if I could use this key, all right, any of these keys, and I could do all of the services, which is wrong. So, these keys are very important and the endpoint is very important. So for example, you're going to deploy your codes in Visual Studio Code. So these keys are very important. So let's move forward. We're all right. So this is just a short thing. Okay. So if we're going to monitor our cognitive services activities, so for example, you're able to make a resource under cognitive service in Azure portal. So these are the following things that we have to remember. So we have the word alert. Alert is to ensure that the correct team knows that a problem arises. So if all of us here in this call are in one team for cognitive services, so all of us must be able to understand that in the Azure portal, maybe something is wrong, something is not deploying correctly, or something just went cuckoo with our codes. So all of us will be able to be alerted and notified. So see here, it's notification is available in the Azure Monitor, which is also the product role. Now the metrics. So it's a numerical value. So these are the metrics are collected at regular intervals, which are useful for alerting. So for example, metrics are stored in time series database. Oh, hold on. The same here screen is freezing. I will stop sharing, then share again. All right. There might be some.
Jade, you're on mute if you are talking. If you're not,
Yeah. Hello, check. Hello.
yes, we can hear you.
All right. So let's start with diagnostic settings. So in diagnostic settings, we configure diagnostic settings to provide detailed information for diagnostics and auditing. So usually these are if ever that the company or your company or you has subscribed to Azure portal or the Azure services, then this all of this alerts, metrics, and diagnostic settings and logs will work for you. So logs contain timestamp information about changes made to your resources. So everything that we do in Azure portal, we will be able to understand and know and notify the issues in real time because all of them works in the internet and we get to be notified right away because of the service activities that we have. All right. So let's have the following. Okay. Let's have a module review. So how are client applications typically granted access to cognitive services endpoint? It's the application must specify a valid subscription fee for the resource, for the Azure resource, or the user of the application must enter a username and password with Azure subscription, or the access to cognitive service is granted to anonymous users by default. So remember that clients, applications, how are we going to give access to our clients so that they could access the service that they have, that the service that they agreed upon. Now I cannot see the answers. All right, let me see. So the answer here should be A. All right. So the application must specify a valid subscription key for the Azure resource. So like the key ones, key two, and also the endpoint. So that's what we're talking about here. Now here, number two, you want to keep track of how often the subscription keys for a cognitive service resource are retrieved. So what should you do? So we remember we I think one, two, three. We have four activities in Azure portal. So is it we generate the keys for your cognitive service resource, or does it create an alert for a cognitive service resource, or we need to store the keys in Azure Key Vault? Okay, let me see. So the answer here is yes, you are correct. We create an alert for a cognitive service resource. And here, and the third one, after we have created an Azure Cognitive Service resource, which two are typically needed to access the resource from a client application? Are we going to do an endpoint and shared password? Are we going to uh, use the endpoint and a valid subscription key, or a username and password unique to each user? So we have B as an answer. B, B, B. Wow. So the correct answer is letter B. The correct answer is B, the endpoint and a valid subscription key. That's the correct answer. All right. Thank you for those who are actively participating. Now we are in module three and it's past 11, but we'll try to move forward and cover some more. So let's go to NLP, which is one of my favorite. So getting started with natural language processing. So here we're going to analyze text and we're going to translate text. So NLP, or natural language processing, features for text analysis. So we do language detection, key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis, name entity recognition, and entity linking. Right. This can be used under language resource or in the multi-service language cognitive service. Moving forward, in language detection, for example, it's going to detect languages that are foul, determine which text is written. For example, is the text written in English or does the text needs to be translated? So those are examples in language detection. Uh, it often requires a further analysis that requires a known language. So we're able to do this one in Visual Studio Code, and we were able to understand what are the foul words being used, but this will not be detected if we do not code it. If we did not put it as a, how we will say it, a not good word, a foul word, all right? So it will not be detected by the system if you did not actually train the model so that to we did not train the model to um, check if it's a foul word. So we also have key phrase extraction. So we identify the main talking points of the text. Also works best with larger documents. So here, these are actually codes that you could follow if we do Visual Studio Code or um, whatever platform that you want to run your codes with. So we have language. So on this side, the language EN is in English. And on this side, list of key phrases and list of key phrases in document two. So we're going to check the key phrases. This is an example of key phrase extraction. Actually, you could do this one also with video indexer, that you're going to extract key phrases in a certain video, which I believe in the YouTube, you could also do key phrase extraction. We also have sentiment analysis. So in sentiment analysis, what we do here is we try to analyze if the sentences are neutral, positive, negative, or mixed. So we also have, as I mentioned a while ago, that we have platforms that in Microsoft Word, it's not yet there. It only does understand if the document is in formal writing or in casual. But there are platforms wherein it analyzes your text, if your text or if your sentence is positive, negative, or is it formal, semi-formal, or is it sad, right? So it understands your document. We also have entity recognition. Oh, I noticed there are those who are still answering. I hope you could follow my screen because I'm in entity recognition screen already. All right. So we'll just try to finish this, and I'll give you the slides for further uh, understanding. So we have name entity recognition. So these are mentioned in the text entity. It also categorizes whatever is there in your document. For example, it's the person, a location, date, time, organization, well, could be the email, URL, and others. So I hope that we could do the lab so that we'll be able to fully understand entity recognition. So for example, in the Visual Studio Code, you'll be able to extract the name of the person or the word person, the location could be the address, date, and time if ever there is in the document. We also have entity linking. By the word linking, you're going to link a certain URL or a certain site in your document. So for example, you used to like for example Wikipedia or specific article links that are determined based on entity context. Here, this should be in the lab, but we are going to skip that. We also have translator service. Um, I'm not sure if the SDKs this time are available, but we could use for translator, we could use the REST API. So in the translator service, we should do the language detection. So it's a multilingual text translation. So for example, we could detect that if the word is in Spanish, is it in Japanese, and this can be used as a standalone translators resource. So in Microsoft Word, as I said, we have translator service, and also in Microsoft OneNote. This is just an example of how detection, translation, and transliteration is being done. So it detects um, the language. So I could see this is in Japanese characters. So when it detects the characters, it's going to translate. Maybe it's going to add some parameters for each target language. Then after it detects and it translates, it's going to do a transliteration. So it's going to check the source of language, and it's going to check the source text script, and it's going to target the text, and it's going to translate it here. And these are translation options. This is still, I cannot copy paste the link, so later. We also have custom translation. So you could actually do this. There's a site in Microsoft Word, like in Microsoft PVA, as I said, wherein you could it's like a sandbox wherein you could practice doing your custom translation there. So you're going to use a custom translator portal, and you're going to link your workspace for your translator. With this one, you could link this translator either to Microsoft Teams or other apps compatible. All right. I believe not all workspaces will be compatible with it, but it depends. Okay. All right. I think this would be the last because it's 11:30. Am I correct? It's 11:32. So we'll have this. So we'll have the module review. So how should you create an application that monitors the comments on your company's website and flags any indication that the customers are unhappy? Are you going to use a translator service to detect profanities in comments? Oh, this is the word I was looking for, profanities. All right, like foul words. Or the second one, use a language service to perform sentiment analysis of the comments. Or the last one, we're going to use a language service to extract named entities from the comments. So if you see that there are like foul words there, so it detects only that word. So what do you think? So the answer is letter B, or the second one. We're going to use the language service. First, we're going to detect the sentiment of, let's say sentiment analysis of the comment. Is the comment sad? Is it positive? Is it medium? So that's how we're going to detect the comments. And then maybe if we were able to understand that it's a negative comment, then maybe we could block the comment. Then next we have the second one. You have analyzed text that contains the word Paris. And how might you determine if this word refers to the French city or the character in Homer's The Iliad? So Iliad is like a novel. So how are you going to relate Paris, French city, and Homer's The Iliad? So we're going to use language service to extract key phrases, or we're going to use a language service to analyze or to do analyze sentiment, or we're going to use a language service to extract linked entities. So there are words now that are available, and we're just going to check their relationship with each other. So it's the third one. We're going to use language service to extract linked entities. So it means linked entities, it means that how they're related to each other. Then we have the last one. What function of the translator service should you use to convert the Russian word, which we cannot read, in Cyrillic characters to spasibo in Latin characters? So now we have a foreign word here in this character. Are we going to detect it first, translate it, or transliterate it? So remember that the first thing is it should be detected. Then after detect, what will happen? Then after it has been translated, what will be the last part? Because we're going to uh, translate the Russian word in this character to English, then to another character in Latin. So it's letter C, transliterate, which is you detect it that it's Russian, translate it to English, then it's going to be translated to another word in Latin. All right. So that's about it. I don't want to hold you long because it's 11:32. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this in one Wakelet link. You could check all those resources there. And I'm also going to give you a file wherein it has also the questions and answers, and also it has the open-ended questions. All right. So all of this I got in Microsoft Educator Learn. I know it was a short session, and I feel sad because I cannot give you an example of the lab that I'm doing. However, I hope that I could see you again. And yes, for those girls out there who want to join the hackathon, the COVID Without Barriers, you're always welcome to join. I'm also joining there as a mentee, so I hope to see you there. And maybe we could also learn from each other since I'm also learning. And thank you very much, Shurag, for having me and all of you. I know it's quite early in your side, so thank you very much for having me. I hope that maybe in some meetup, developers meetup, we could meet, right? So I don't want to hold you long, so thank you, Shurag.
Thank you, Jade, for the wonderful sessions. And I hope everyone was able to understand the idea that Jade was trying to get into you. So, and if you don't mind, can you share me the presentation so that I can
Yes,
share with attendees? Sure. Great.
I'll,
Great. And
I'll
thank
send
you.
it to you.
Sure. And thank you all for joining with us and have a great rest of the Sunday.
All right, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.